Okay, perfect. So we already know what kind of crazy market we're in right now, right?
Mhm.
So last week we were talking about the buyers, how important it is to get your buyers to be committed to you, because if they're getting outbeat, or if they're not getting the results that they're looking for, they might get discouraged and decide, well, hey, maybe it's you that's the problem, not me. So that's really, really an important thing. And then also, same thing, we need to get sellers who trust us and who believe that we're going to do the best that we can for them to sell their home. So with that said, I just kind of put together something. Jessica and I put this together. It's important that you guys have a listing presentation, and it's important that before you go to that appointment, that you are always making sure that you add in any slides or take out any slides that may or may not apply. It could be information about the area. It could be their motivation of why they're moving, or what it is that they plan to do. But always make sure that you are definitely addressing it to them. It shouldn't be a one size fits all type of thing. This is should be something, if you want it to be effective, it can be pretty generic and standard, but you should throw in a couple slides in there to touch them, and so that way they feel that they're connecting with you during your presentation.
And then Sonia, your online presentation, do you do it all on point?
No, I actually I do my presentation on my iPad, and it's on Keynote. That's
Keynote.
how I do my actual presentation. When I show up to my listing appointment, I have the Remax folder with I print like 5 pages from Cloud CMA,
Mhm.
which is just information about the homes.
Mhm.
And then I have my resume in there. I have like a seller's like what to expect, and and the reason I put that in there, and I can share that with you guys as well. I put that in there, and it just goes over. They know their home more than anyone else, so we talk about their house. It talks about room for room, what they enjoyed in it, the highlights of it. And I think it starts building rapport. They loosen up. They don't just they're not focused on, okay, this girl just wants to sell my house and make money off me, because that's
Mhm.
unfortunately the mentality of some people. But
Yeah.
you're there to show them that you're there for much more than that. So I include that, and I usually give them a calendar, some marketing material that I have put together, just so that way they have my information and they
Mhm.
can pass it on sometimes to someone else.
Yeah.
So that's the whole the goal. um, so this is go to the next page, Jessica. I'm sorry, she's in control of my screen right now. So the first thing that you want to obviously do is spend the time, and this is going to go for your buyer's presentation and your listing presentation. You definitely want to talk about why don't be embarrassed to. It's important, for people to know your accomplishments, who you are, what market you're working in. And again, if this is an area where you're familiar with, or maybe it's a type of home, maybe it's a horse property or something like that, and maybe, who knows, you like horses, whatever it is, you just kind of want to put those things in there to make sure that you find some type of connection. Next page, Jessica. So here, letting them know that you're working with us. Why are we right for you, for everything about real estate, what we aim, what why you can be trusted, why you're the knowledgeable one, you have experience. All of that is so important. The first thing you want to do too is, and I know we mentioned it before, is when you want to know, what are they doing, why are they motivated, you know you want to know as much as you can about them before going, because that's going to help you close, to close the deal. The more information, their timing, is there anything that that they're is it are they selling because they have no choice, are they selling because they're relocating, they need a bigger home, whatever it is, you need to know all those things before you go, because that's going to help you to to make sure that you emphasize on those things when you're there with them. So definitely, you always want to pre-qualify your seller, just as you would your buyer. You want to pre-qualify your seller. Not that you wouldn't go on the presentation, but again, it just gives you the upper advantage and the upper help. So that way you have something to talk about and maybe find some kind of similarities and common ground to talk about. Okay, next page, Jesse. So you want to tell them, us versus them slide. There's a lot of that stuff going out, right? So definitely Remax is a great company. And everyone's going to have their opinion, but at the end of the day, facts are facts, and that's what you want to show them, the facts. What differentiates Remax. And I'll be honest with you, the last few presentations that I've been on, they tell me I like that it's Remax. I had where they told me, you know what, Sonia, I actually, smaller companies have offered to sell my home for less, but because I want the exposure of Remax. And so that's shows for something. And maybe not everybody's gonna appreciate that, but again, you just have to let them know why it's important by the facts, by showing the exposure that their home's going to get, by how many people will know who Remax is. So again, you want to make sure that they know that Remax outperforms the competition. And just so you know, the Remax and all these forms, they are actually in our Max Center. So all of this stuff is in Max Center. Remax provides us with all this information, so that way we have the stats and we have the facts when we're asked. So you just have to log into the Max Center, and you can go under marketing, and under marketing it has all kinds of different marketing for you as an agent. Okay, so next slide is, you're welcome. So then you always, again, want to, which I'm sure you guys know, you definitely want to let them know what the market is, and not just as simple as, okay, this home just sold and that's, this is where you should be. Educate them a little bit more. Explain to them, what's trending, what you're seeing, how many, maybe you have some experience with another, client, or maybe someone in your office, or let's just say you don't have experience in that area, but spend the time to take a look and see, maybe there's other agents in our office that have sold in that area that maybe can give you some feedback. A lot of times I'll get questions about like certain communities. For instance, I just took a listing in Corona in the Trilogy, area or community. I know nothing about that community. I've never been in that community, but she asked me, "Are you familiar with my community?" What do you think I said? Well, heck yeah, I am. Because I'm going to get familiar before I go. So it's important for you to get familiar. And like I said, you can research other agents in our office. I'm sure everyone is definitely open to sharing, and they'll help you. And they'll say, you know what, this is what you need to be aware of. This association, this, that, or that. In this particular association, there's a buyer enhancement fee is what they call it, that the buyer's required to pay when they move in. And she said when she bought, they didn't tell her that. She didn't know until she was signing her loan documents that she had to pay like a $1,500 fee. And so again, that is something that, a lot of times agents just go take the listing, they don't investigate, they don't look. So set yourself apart and just let them know, yes, I understand there's an enhancement fee. You're not going to be required to pay for that. We'll make sure the buyer's aware and they pay for that. So those things already, they're feeling like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. So again, make sure you research where you're going so you know what to talk about. And then also, use different type of graphs and nice stuff. People, while you're discussing it, they just want to read like the bare minimum. So don't expect to put something on there where they have to read all kinds of stuff, because they just don't, they're not going to understand it. But you want to put something that's, like nice and fresh, and something that they feel like, okay, that's easy to, to relate to or read. So always make sure you have the current market stats, going over the, the different real estate market, the growth over the years, and why maybe selling now is the best time for them to sell. Because we know right now it's a great time to sell. To be a seller right now is it's definitely great. So go to the next slide, Jessica. And then you obviously you want to talk about your marketing. Now, again, when you are part of a Remax, you should know what all of the marketing is that Remax offers, to us as agents. So it's important for you to always key in on those things and show them examples. That's one thing I do. Part of my presentation is I show them how the videos and the virtual tours and the 3D tour and the pictures. I show them on my past ones, of what it looks like. And I want them, I'm like, look and imagine, someone's seen this and this is where we market it. So they get excited about it because they're like, oh, wow, that home looks really nice. Our home's going to look really nice.
Mhm.
And I always include them and I tell them that once we get the link, I'm going to send it to you because I want you to review it. If there's anything that that concerns you or something you like or don't like, it's important for me to know that. But of course, everyone loves it. I've never gotten anyone that said, oh no, I don't like it, redo it, so everybody's like, wow, maybe I don't want to sell my house after all, it looks so nice, and so you get all kinds of different feedback, but always good feedback. Next page, Jessica. And then you want to let them know, what the selling timeline is, what to expect, because this is important. Remember that they are trusting you with, a huge decision, and don't, don't oversell yourself. If you don't have the intention of letting them know weekly what's going on, then don't tell them that. But if you are, it's good to do that. It's good to say on every Friday, you're going to get an email from me, or whatever their preferred method of contact is, whether it be email, text message, or whatever. You can let them know you will get a call from me, my assistant, my whoever, just to give you an update as to what's going on. Every time someone sees your home, if they provided feedback, that'll be forwarded to you as well. Any type of marketing that we're doing at the end of the week, you'll be made aware of how many people are actually viewing it and stuff like that. I mean, right now, like I said, homes are selling pretty quickly, so we don't really have to do so much, but you still are. There is still work involved, in what you're doing. So again, you just want to show them that you are systematic and you have stuff in place. The selling process, I think this is pretty important and it's pretty neat because it just goes over and it shows them what to expect. Again, you want to show them that at this time you're educating them on the home selling process. You want them to know step by step, and this is the time for you to put in whatever it is. We just threw in some generic stuff just so you guys get an idea, but you want to show them, the first thing, the most important thing is pricing. We have to determine what that price is because and why that's important. You want to go into detail, the importance of pricing, the importance of why the condition has to do with pricing, and then obviously the demographics that their property has, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a pool, a large lot, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples when you're doing your pricing. So that's one of the first things. Then you want to get into at that point, once everything, you come to an agreement with them, then at that point, we're going to be signing the listing contract. So that way I can start marketing your home. Once I get that signed, that's the first thing I do is I, contact the photographer. I schedule that appointment. I make sure that, your home is ready. We take a look to see if there's anything that needs to be done before a photographer comes in here and begins to highlight, all of the great features of your home. You want to get them excited about it. You want them to be just as excited as you are, as them signing it, to them, signing with you. So letting them know where you're going to be, putting all of their videos or photos or whatever. So, MLS, social media, all over the internet, maybe any other type of marketing, flyers, door hangers or postcards, whatever whatever it is that you do, you want to make sure that you also, let them know everything that it is that you're going to do for them. And you just want to show them the benefits and the advantages of hiring you and what it is, like I said, what you're going to do for them. The next thing you're going to let them know is showing their home and what that entails, especially right now, with COVID. Are they okay with people coming in? Did they want to schedule? Because I'm noticing that some agents are doing, well, open houses, but they're not calling it open houses. They're calling it showings. So, I mean, you can be creative and do whatever it is that you feel that's going to help sell their home. So you can have that discussion with them. Are they comfortable with people coming in and out? Do they just want to try to do it on a certain day for 3 or 4 hours, get it out of the way, and hope to get some great offers at that point to select from. So again, this is a time to actually dig in deep with them and see what's more important for them, and that you're there to provide, and you care about their safety, um, because of obviously what's going on. And then you want to show them, once we get the offers, we're going to start negotiating the offer, making sure it's the right offer, going back and forth, and then obviously opening escrow. So, and then again, you just get into detail, letting them know. And the nice thing about this, and like I said, a lot of times agents don't want to get so much into detail. They feel nervous. They just want to be, they want to leave. But what you need to understand and realize is that as you're having this discussion, you're answering a lot of their questions. There's a lot of things that are probably going through their minds, and they're like, oh wow, okay. So she's answering that. So now typically how long would this be? And so during that time, again, they're feeling more and more comfortable with you. And that's the point, because I know a lot of times people just go into the appointment and just say, this is what your home's worth. Okay, you ready to put it up for sale? And they're like, okay, so wait. Like, before we do that, what happens here? So again, you're just going to slowly get them to where they know that last point is going to be, to sign. So, and then again, you just continue with the selling process, disclosures, inspection, what to expect during the inspection. So that way they understand how that works. I think education is so important for us to have a successful close, because when we tell our clients something, they are going to hold us to it. So if we tell them, because I get this question every single time, Sonia, I want to sell my home as is. I don't want to do nothing to it. And so at that point is when I tell them, every home is sold as is. If you read the contract, that's what it says. However, a buyer has a right to do their inspections. And I know you live here, you know this home better than anyone else, but there may be things that you've lived with all these years that you didn't mind. But they're buying your home for a certain price that they feel it's worth. But if they find out that the roof is at the end of its life, or that your air conditioning, you don't like to use it because you just don't want to pay the bill, but they are all about AC. So, their lifestyle could be different than yours. So depending upon, once they find that information, they may not be willing to pay you that price. So you can sell it as is, but it may be at a lower price. And so at that time, they're like, okay, I get it. So let's just wait for the inspection. We don't want to jump ahead of ourselves. Let's just wait. And then once we get there, we'll see how motivated the buyer is, to buy your home. And we'll go from there. So, but again, if I would say, oh yeah, you're right, you're signing it as is, you don't have to do nothing. So then I just set myself up that I need to be sure that no one's going to come in asking for nothing. But again, I can't guarantee that, because I don't even really know what the true condition of the home is. So you're not telling them yes, and you're not telling them no. You're just letting them know that each buyer is going to determine that, based upon whatever it is that they go through. And I know, like, for example, Aaliyah right now was mentioning to me, she has a home in Southgate and this is, a lot of homes in LA County need that pre-listing inspection done by the city. And yes, for the most part, they're going to tear you apart. That's what they want to do for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate, because they're going to go in there and inspect all these things, and then they want the seller to fix it, or the buyer can buy it, with all these repairs, but they have to be agreed upon. So just be mindful of that too. So when you're going into LA County, make sure if that is a pre-inspection city, because that is something that you should be discussing with them during the time of the presentation, that they're going to be required to do this the city inspection. And it's important that they get it done as soon as possible, so that way you guys know what you're going to need to either fix or negotiate once those offers come in. So I think that's also very, very important to do. And then of course, let them know about how their final walkthrough is and what the importance of that is. And next page, Jessica. And then what closing day looks like, how many days are they going to need once escrow closes? You know, are they relocating? Can they move fast? Can they, you know, because all this is so important for you to know, because again, the easier it makes your job when you're negotiating with let's just say agents call you and say, you know what, my client needs to be in that house, you know, this day that it records. Well, that's not going to work for my client. You know, they're going to need a week or 2 weeks or whatever. So you already know all those things about your client. So you make sure that you have their best interest each time you're, you know, negotiating. And then you can discuss a closing consultation. That's something that I do. Everyone's different if you guys offer that, but that's what I like to do, because I like to go back. And then now that everything's closed, you know, everything seriousness aside, this is the time to laugh, talk about the experience, you know, and just kind of talk about, you know, just kind of life. And then you just build a relationship at this point, because this is what you worked so hard and did such a good job for your whole transaction, was so that way at the end of it all, you are able to, you know, say thank you, and who else do you know that I can help, you know, and then you'll be surprised, you know, you got to ask for those referrals, definitely. Okay, next slide. It's weird.
Mhm.
It feels weird not being in control.
Yeah.
And so then this here is definitely testimonials are huge, 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 huge. And even if you have to get it on a cell phone, so it doesn't matter. Just get it. You know, it doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be all with flying colors and everything else. It just has to be that person catching that moment of emotion. That is something that you can't, you know, you can't dress up or disguise. So that's so important, to get that and get them, you know, look at how happy they are. They're, you know, that's their day they're getting their keys. And I'm fortunate enough, I have a client who does a photo booth. So I asked her to make some props for me. And so that's kind of how she, you know, she did those props for me. So I really appreciate that. But like I said, come up with different ideas. Obviously, you want to, you know, have whoever it is that you work with, so that way they can meet, you know, they know, because I know Jessica is a huge part of what I do. So they're going to hear probably more from Jessica during the transaction than me. So it's important that they know her role and what it is that she does. And same thing, if you know, if they're doing any type of mortgage financing, then obviously Francisco would be part of that team as well. And then, you know, giving them information of where to find you, maybe even where to find reviews about you. Hopefully they've already researched you and they know, but again, giving them information, you know, where they can find you as well is important. And, you know, again, you're having your contact information, which obviously you guys know that, pretty basic. Um, and go ahead, Jessica, next. And then you always want to slide with any questions, because you want to make sure that you answered everything. And for the most part, if you were pretty thorough, you should have answered every question. But there are times where they're like, oh, well, what about this? And what if this were to happen? You know, what would be, you know, the case for this? And so once we're done here and we go through all the questions, then at that point, did you have another slide, Jessica? Okay, so then at the end, we just, you know, thank them. And then this is when I give them, you know, tell me more about your home. Now let's talk about your house, you know, specifically. And then that form, let me send it to Jessica really quick so I can show you guys what form it is that I do. And then I also take, and I know I've told you guys this before, but I do take the MLS data input sheet. I take that with me because I fill that out while I'm there, because again, it just makes your job so much easier. So that way, when you get back, you know, when you get back to the office and you have to either input it, like I have Jessica help me. So I give her that input sheet and she's able to input all of the information for me because it's data entry. And then it's just like I said, it's so she's not like, okay, so did that house have a fireplace, Sonia? Do you remember if this? Do you remember if that? Or I'm trying to think, what kind of fencing was it? Did it have a patio? Did it have this? So that form is very important. So that way, you guys have. Let me get it here. I'm sorry, it's my thing.
It's a
Sorry.
listing input form, right?
The MLS listing input form, yes. That's the listing input form that you get on the MLS. If you guys don't know where to get that, you just log into the MLS. It's under broker on the icon. Under the additional products, there's or the resources, CRMLS resources. That's where you're going to find that form, and they have the input for every single type of property, whether it be a lease, commercial, residential, everything. So any input that there is, you can definitely find it there. And then let's see. So the other page that I have, it's called a seller's action plan is what I call it. And I'm going to have Jessica display it right now. Okay. I just sent it to you, Jessica. So basically what this is a form that I have them fill out because I want to make sure that, because a lot of times too, they don't want to admit if their home needs work. And so when you tell them, some people are funny about it. So this is actually a great form to help them compare it like to others. And then it just says, seller's action plan on the very front. And then on the second page just says, buyers want to fulfill a wish list, not a to-do list. So with a bunch of fix-up projects walking into your house, they'll turn away faster than you can say water damage. Oftentimes it's not one big thing, but a lot of little things that turn buyers away. So this is just something that, like I said, it helps them really look at the condition of their home. So we talk about the market conditions. So are there a lot of properties for sale? What are you competing against? What's the general marketing conditions? And a lot of this we would have already talked about, but now we're going to get very, very detailed because we're going to dial in on a lot of things. And then we talk about the owner's insight with what made them buy this house. Like what were you guys, what made you decide? I had a client that just told me, we were actually driving. It was a new build. We had no intention of buying a new build, but we stopped and it was the last one available. And we just felt like it was home. What did you love, or, what do you wish you could change about this home? What changes did you make? So again, it just gets them to really think about their house and, what another buyer would be thinking as well. And then on the next page, it just goes into, again, talking about each of the rooms or kitchen. You need to show off a spotless, spacious, updated kitchen. So, the prospective buyers should be able to visualize themselves in your kitchen. So let's see, what are the top features, in your kitchen right now? And so then again, that's when we start talking about that. And then again, going to every room. So dining room, master bedroom, bathrooms. And then we discuss, again, now I'm writing everything down with them. They're writing it down and it's like showing an open house. Okay, so what would be good times? What are good showing times? What do you guys feel you won't be invaded? Does it matter? And then again, pricing review. What price range does your home fit in? Now that you know everything, where do you feel that your home should be priced? And then again, we start talking about that. And then additional marketing photos, because let's just say, for instance, they have a water softener, or their garage is like, a very, because we normally don't take pictures of a garage is a garage. But if the guy's like, oh my gosh, my garage, I've done this, so I'll definitely tell them, okay, I'll make sure we highlight your garage. So again, I'm letting them tell me what it is that they want, to highlight. And then we just talk about curb appeal, and then family room, living room. And then the last page, it's an open house showing checklist, just to see if there's anything that we need to have them add, maybe take away, things I want them to do before showings. And like right now, more than anything, it's, leave all the lights on, leave the doors open, because we don't want people touching any more than they have to. So this is just, like I said, just something, but I'll tell you what, it's a great way to continue to be in conversation, to engage with them and to continue to make them feel comfortable. Because instead of just kind of sitting there and saying, hey, you know, I believe this, I believe that, they're just listening to you. Whereas here you're engaging with them, you know, you're allowing them to give you their feedback. You're basing all of the information that you're giving them off of whatever it is that they're telling you. So it's not just your assumption or your beliefs. This is information that, you know, you're determining, you know, by doing that. So once we do that, then at that point we already have price, we already have when they're ready. So we just sign, you know, like I said, we sign the agreement at that time and you know, get everything going. But I think, like I said, it's important for you to make sure that you guys have a presentation, and you can do it any which way, but I don't leave my presentation with the seller at all, because to me that's not something that they need to keep. They just need to know the facts about their house. They need to know, you know, if I were to sell it, what am I looking at? I give them, you know, their net sheet and just a copy of the comps in the area. And that's basically it. So does anyone have any questions? Or, I mean, you can do these presentations, Canva. Yeah, that's the CRMLS.
I wanted to share the listing form that she was talking about. I did find it on CVAR, and it's right on their website. You don't need to go or log in or do anything. It's right under their, oh my God, right here, under member services, and then forms and applications. You scroll down, and then they have different input forms. They have residential income, land and lots, mobile homes, lease. They have a lot of different ones. You just click them, and they're there for you. You can download them, and then go on PDF Expert or wherever, Adobe, and then just start typing them in, or just print it out and fill it out like Sonia was saying.
Yeah. Or if you go on a presentation and you know that they're not going to sign that day because maybe they've already kind of told you that, like we're like a month out. We just want, you know, to kind of get an idea of what we should do to get ready. I still take that and I actually will print that one for them, and I'll let them know I need to leave this with you because I need you to fill this out, because you're, you know, nobody knows your home better than you. So it's important that I display everything that your home has to offer. So I need you to complete this form. So, and they're like, oh, okay, great. You know, they're excited because we're asking them, whereas a lot of times agents don't. They just put in the MLS whatever they remember or whatever they believe or whatever, or the bare minimum, you know, for a lot of, you know, for most of them. So I think that those are things important. But again, to create your actual the presentation, you can do them on Canva. You could go to that broker, Breakthrough Broker. They have them also on Remax, which, you know, all you have to do is input your information as an agent. And like I said, add any type of slide that's important for you. You should have at least 1 or 2 video slides, because to me, it brings a little bit to the presentation. I noticed that they enjoy watching the video. I mean, obviously something short, nothing, you know, crazy. But I think that is, it brings that emotion, and that's what you want. You want that emotion, something relatable. And so that way they feel like, oh my, okay, you know, they're ready. They're excited. There's nothing holding them back. And that's the purpose of your presentation, to cover as much as possible. So that way there's no reason for them not to be ready. And you notice that there's no slides in there about commission, nothing about that, because that's really something that we don't discuss unless they ask. Sometimes they'll ask at the end and they're like, oh, okay, you know, but I usually know because they'll ask me when they call. That's the first question. If someone's concerned about commission, that's the first question when they call you. How much do you charge? And that's the first thing, you know. And then, but if you think about it, I'll tell them over the phone, like, that's something, it just depends. Because just like you wouldn't call, let's just say a mechanic and say, how much do you charge for to change my brakes? Well, we start at this price. Until I see it, it could change, because who knows, maybe your rotors need to be changed too. What do I know about that, right? But you just never know, you know, what if that needs to happen, or what if there's something more in depth? So we do start at that price, because they'll say, will you do it for as low as whatever? We do start there. So just depending upon what it is. And then again, once you're there in front of them, they're just like, okay, you know what, it makes sense, because you're comfortable. You're making them feel like this is someone they want to work with. And I have no problem reducing my commission as long as I've decided that, because I want to decide that I want to work with you at that price. So if I show up to your home and I'm like, okay, these people are going to be a lot of work, I wish I would have never agreed to that on the phone. That's why I won't agree to it until I get there. And if it's something that I feel like, you know what, this home's going to sell itself, I have no problem. Yeah, I look at the bigger picture, I'm good with that. Then again, it's just, but it's my decision, and not, I don't feel that, you know, this is all I feel anybody's worth, and this is all I'm going to pay, you know, because you get people like that, you know, that are just very firm about it. So you got to show them your worth, and, you know, what it is that you're doing for them to make them, you know, happy.
Sonia, somebody asked, can you show where that seller's action plan is? That one you created, correct?
Yeah, we created that
Okay.
ourselves. Yeah. So that would be something that would be created, but it's pretty simple. Canva, it works miracles. Canva's really good. So you just got to get,
that.
you know, it's funny because my daughter was the one who was like, Mom, try Canva. And I was like, no, I'm scared of Canva, you know, because I was always Pages. I love Pages. But now that I've started doing Canva more, I like Canva more than Pages now, you know, but I do have certain things already templated in Pages. So I'm not going to change that.
Mhm.
But for new stuff, it's, I really like it. I really like it. And I think as an agent, you need to have your marketing in place. You know, whatever it is, whatever, any type of buyer, any type of seller, because that is what is going to hold you back from shining. Because as soon as you talk to someone, you hang up that phone, you send them something immediately. But if you don't have your marketing in place, guess what? You go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shoot, I should have sent that. Oh, it's too late. So believe me when I tell you that marketing is huge. Do it once and then update it as needed. But for the most part, spend the time, do it. Or if you don't want to do it, pay someone to do it, you know, and just get it done, and have your library, and, you know, be that way you're on it. And like I said, that's so important, because you can get off the phone with a seller who's distressed and you didn't know that. And now you can send them, you know, some information on that, a brochure that you have based on that information. And it just shows that you're a professional. And again, that sets you apart. So those are just a few things. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, you know, wants to know how to get started. Does anybody use a listing presentation right now?
No, I mean, I have a listing presentation, but mine's all paper. So I want to convert it to where, you know what I mean? Like, I want to get a little more tech savvy now.
Yeah, because what happens, like, if you're on paper, like, let me just grab this piece of paper here, and you're showing them, you know, you're like, here, they're like, they want to keep it, you know? They're like,
You're like, no, it's mine.
yeah, you're like, so
Well,
that's why
I have it like separated, you know what I mean? It's like, I kind of leave them and then like, I take it back, you know, but it makes sense that if I just show it, you know, on.
Yeah, so
like,
you
on
show it on your iPad, then when you're done, you close it up and you're like, okay.
Okay, and then picture packet.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then, you know, like I said, then you can do the live.
You said Keynote, right?
Keynote
And then you create a lot of it on Canva.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Keynote has a lot of templates already. So depending on your style, you know, there's nice ones that are bright. There's, you know, other ones that are, you know, more professional looking. There's others, you know, just there's different styles. So you can always change it up. I do recommend having more than one. You know, you can have a couple. If you speak English and Spanish, have one in Spanish, have one in English. Like, you should, you know, spend the time doing those things. It's going to be very similar, but again, it just depends on your client. Let's just say you have someone who's, you know, selling a low, you know, a lower end, you know, manufactured home. Maybe they don't really care about a lot of the things, but then you have other homes that are more focused on, you know, other things. So they want to see nicer things, because you don't want to go in to some of the lower homes. They might think, oh, she only sells higher homes. She's not going to really, you know, want to do this one. So, you know, you don't want them to put those thoughts into their head. So you just want to make sure that you are, you know, kind of branding it to whoever it is that you're going to go and, you know, talk to.
Okay.
And like I said, right now, I think most sellers, a lot of them, I don't know what some of them are being told, but from what I'm hearing is agents are telling some of them that they, like we can remove the appraisal, they're going to overpay, and they're going to this and they're going to that. So what happens is when you're branding your offer, because the agents are telling me, are your buyers willing to take off their appraisal contingency? I'm like, why would
You're
you?
like, we're not in that kind of market.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you ask me that? And I'm like, unless you already told your seller that that's something that they should expect, why would you do that? Like, give us the opportunity to get an appraisal, and then we can negotiate at that time. But how can you expect my client to say okay when the house is, you know, 50 or 40,000 or whatever above price? Like, I don't understand that. So
Yeah, I have a buyer in escrow right now, and I'm dealing directly with the sellers because the listing agent doesn't even know what he's doing.
you know, it's so funny. I talked to an agent yesterday, and she has a listing, and she told me that she got a call from an agent who said, I work full time, but I do real estate part time. And my clients want to see your house, but I can't take them out there because it's during the time I work. So he told her, can you show my clients? And she says, you know what? I'll be happy to do that. She says she looked at his license. He was very new. And she told him, I'll be happy to do that, but we're going to split your commission 50-50 if they buy it. And he agreed. And so if you see that happening, then you can do the same. You can just let them know, you know what, I'll be happy to help you, since obviously you need the help, you know, but this is this is, you know, at the cost that it's going to be. So if it works, it works, you know, it's an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So
Good stuff, Sonia.
yeah. So I'm glad, like I said, whatever you guys, you know, we try to give you as much information as possible. And I really hope that, I know it's work, believe me, I know it's work, but it's worth it, because once it's done, now you can move forward into something else. And you know what? You'll be surprised. And this is what I tell a lot of the agents. They avoid doing certain things, but once you're organized, then you have no excuse not to go and prospect, because you want to use your tools. You're excited to share those tools.
Yeah.
So I think it because a lot of times we make excuses and we say, well, I can't do that because I don't have this, or I don't have that, and I don't have this. But once you have all of your tools, you know, then obviously there's no reason that you can't perform.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there a question?
Said, I came in a little late. Are you doing more presentations over Zoom or in person?
Right now, actually, I've been doing more in person. Yeah, right now has been more in person. I think we did Zooms maybe for like 3 weeks. When, like in March, like the end of March, April, I think is when we were doing more of the Zooms. Now it's more in person, and we just go, you know, with, you know, our masks, and, you know, make sure that we show them that we're respectful. And I ask them, you know, are you sure you want me to come in? But most of the time people want to see you.
Yeah,
They don't.
I haven't had any issues with people wanting to do face-to-face presentations at all.
Yeah, they want to see you. I think so too. And most of my clients have all been, from what I remember and noticed, like in these last few months, have all been older. So they want to see you. They want to know what's going on, and, you know, what we're doing. So yeah, but you can still do the Zoom if it's easier and they're okay with it. You could still do all your, you know, all your stuff online. They just wouldn't have those forms to fill out. You would just have to fill them out, you know, while you're discussing it with them. But I like, to be honest, to do it in person, because they're in front of you and you get them to sign. Otherwise they're like, oops, lost connection, bye. You don't want that to happen.
Oh, you're all calling back. You're all, hello.
Yeah,
Answering.
exactly. You don't need any more, reasons why that could go wrong. We have enough, we have
Yeah.
enough. So, but okay, guys. Well, I mean, unless you guys have any other questions,
I'm good.
I know everybody's so quiet. It's like,
No, it's good stuff because it's even just, it kind of makes you start thinking about, just what you want to create for yourself. I mean, obviously we don't want it to be completely identical, but, just kind of starts getting the wheels turning. And right now I'm like, want to revamp being my listing presentations. So you gave me some really good ideas. Thank you.
yeah. And if you want, Jessica can share with you guys, the template. So you can kind of get some ideas and yeah, just make it your own. I know a lot of times agents are like, oh, can you just, put my name on there? But it's not, it has to be you.
Yeah, I agree.
Your style. It has to come across as you. I mean, you can use the same content, but you just mix it up so that way it's yours. So
Okay.
yeah,
I put my email in the chat box. If you guys can just send me an email or something, because I don't have all of your emails. I'm not sure.
yeah, just send her an email that I want a copy, and then she'll respond to it.
And I'll send you the template for it so that you can at least, because when you get the template, it'll create a copy for you, so you won't disturb the original one, and then you can always click on the link again to give you a brand new template. So if you start something and you decide you hate it, just click on the link again and it'll start all over. Don't worry about it. It always makes a copy for you.
Yeah.
So you can kind of work off of it, but not so similar to it, like you were saying, so you're not all the same or whatever it may be. But I'd be happy to share any of the templates that I have for the listing.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so well, you guys have a great afternoon. A happy 4th of July.
Are you coming to the office tomorrow?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure yet, just depending on how our schedule is. We've been so bombarded. So it's been really busy, which is a blessing, but it's been busy. So
good. Awesome.
Yeah. So we're just trying to make sure we stay on top. I have I have a listing that just fell out of escrow. It's in Riverside. It's 510 pool home.
Oh, I think her thing died.
Yeah.
So it's 510. It's a pool home. It's let me give you the details of it. Just you did die. I was telling everybody, I'm like, I think she died.
Sorry, I died. So it's
hold on.
If anybody has anyone, it's in Canyon Crest or Woodcrest. I'm sorry. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath pool home. So we need to go back into escrow today.
Okay.
So if anyone has anyone, we have a few offers, but in case anyone else has anyone looking, we would prefer to work with someone we know. So let us know.
Alrighty.
All right, you guys have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.